Welcome to the Ruck Rugby podcast with myself, Mark Moss.
And me, Sam Leeming.
Today is a very special episode. It's our first guest, and this guest can do this. So welcome to the podcast, England 7 star Abi Burton. Abi, how are you doing?
Yeah, great, thank you. Thank you for both having me.
Cool, so today's episode is going to centre around Abi's journey to England 7, so the Olympic dream and body positivity as well. Abi, start us off by telling us a little bit about your journey to where you are now.
Basically, I started playing rugby when I was about 13. Came from swimming, started playing rugby, did alongside athletics at the same time, but then when I was 16, I moved away to college to move to Hartpury, and then that's when I started playing rugby more full time. And I kind of went there because I knew that I wanted to play for England, and that was like, we looked at all the different colleges that I could have gone to, and that was like the best one for like success rate for girls to actually play for England. So I went there for 2 years. Playing in and around the A stuff, and then I went and played for Hartpury for about half a season before I got injured, and then at the end of the 2018 season I then got picked up by the Sevens, and now playing in the Sevens. This is my second season so far, and I'm contracted for another 2 years, so until 2022, so until the Commonwealths, and then that's currently me at the moment. But yeah, that's where I started from. Started from Cass Rugby Union, and now playing for England Sevens.
Cool, Sam, do you want to delve in a little bit to Hartpury stuff as well? Because obviously you went there.
No, but after being let go by Newcastle, I was looking for the best place to go, and I suppose was the academics high on your agenda, or not really? Like me, it was more the rugby program.
Like my mum and dad really wanted me to. So I did A levels when I went. I didn't do a BTEC, I went and did A levels. So my mum were really wanted me to get A levels done. But they were more like, my dad was kind of like, well, you're going to play rugby. And my mum was kind of like, but no, she's going to do A levels. But yeah, to be honest with you, I ended up getting like CCC or something like that with like a rugby BTEC, rugby side. But yeah, it wasn't like on the top of the like priority list going there. It was more like, we went through so many different colleges. So we went through like Bishop Burton, Loughborough, Hartpury. We also had a look at Filton. And that was like, when we went there, my mum was so apprehensive about sending me because it's like 5 hours away from where I live up north. And she was just like, no, I don't want to let her go. But then my dad eventually convinced her. He was like, oh, that's the best place for her to go to be able to be an England player. So like, we need to send her, like we'll do everything we can to send her. The academic stuff, it was just trying to get through it, innit?
Yeah, I suppose like I look back now and I've got a degree out of it, and then look where I am now. You sort of, you wouldn't really second guess really if you can get that on the side and get the package. Susie, I know she's just left the Gloss Hartpury women, and it's my old coach Linny who's going to be taking them over. How was Susie as a coach, and like how did she sort of, a relatively new league, how did she sort of bring that team on?
Yeah, so when I was at Gloss Hartpury, I had Susie and I had LJ. LJ was our coach through the whole of ACE programme as well. So she was my coach for my first year, and then for my second year as well. And then when it came to the point of, so I was in under 20s, and they said to me, oh, we need you to actually play against like the women, or like we won't know what you're going to be like when you play against like in under 20s, obviously playing against like 2 years older. And then Susie was great, like in integrating me into the team and stuff like that, because I had to wait until I got dispensation because I was still 17 at the time. But she was great. She integrated me into the programme great. And bless her, like she put her heart and soul into that team. Like she literally put everything into it. She just wanted the best for everybody. And even Bird as well, who was our forwards coach, like Susie and Bird have both played together. And they were both like, they kind of like Tweedledum and Tweedledee. It was really funny. Like they were like best friends, just like running around trying to just like get all of us to play rugby. But yeah, like the way that she helped and fought for the Goss Hartpury program at Hartpury, which like if you look at it, like it is a very like, it is dominated by like the RFC, and it is dominated by like the boys ace and stuff like that. But that's just because it's men's rugby, and that's what brings in the most amount of money and everything like that. So you can't ever blame an organisation for being more dominant around the men's side. But she fought for every single thing that like we had, and she fought for our training. She fought for just everything, and like she was one of the best coaches I've ever had, and I still like do communicate with her and stuff like that. But then I know I've heard about like Linny taking over, and like all the girls love him. So like he does everything he can for the girls. Like, and yeah, there's been nothing but like amazing stuff said about him. And definitely when I do go back to 15s, like Gloucester Hartpury will be one of the options that I consider as well as some of the other teams, because the culture that is made there is just amazing, and I love it there. I wish I could have stayed, but I can't stay there forever, can I?
It's definitely a bubble, isn't it? Now, I was going to say, I think I definitely saw when I was there, Susie definitely, sort of pushing her weight around and trying to get everything for the girls. Do you think? I think with Linny potentially coming in, do you think there might be a bit of a shift? There might be a bit of stigma towards the girls. Maybe not stigma, but in such a male-dominated rugby program, it's definitely becoming stronger. And potentially, do you reckon Linny can make that even stronger?
Yeah, I think it's 100%, because he's from coaching the books and stuff like that. He's already like in the foot in the door in a way of like into the men's stuff. Whereas like Susie had to literally fight for everything. Whereas Linny's already kind of in it because of the book stuff like that. I think like he will only make it better. He, like from everything that the girls have said and like the type of person that he is, like
he's a legend. He's just a legend.
He's amazing. You know what? He's jump-started my car about 3 times while I was at Hartpury. Literally, with him, I'm like, Linny, my car don't work. And he comes down in his car and he brings his girls down with him and he's like, right, Abby, let's do this then. And he's like trying to fix my car. He's literally amazing. But yeah, like he'll only do wonders for the girls, like genuinely, like especially already having his foot in the door, like it will send them to another level. Like it will 100% send them to another level.
No, I think that's real exciting. And like you said, like obviously the success he had helps, but he's already well regarded, not just in the rugby, but around the college, isn't he? He's such a presence and such a character. Awesome. And I suppose the last question, just regarding Hartpury, the Terrells, that Terrells 15 league. I don't know much about it. Is it developing? Where does it stand with the RFU funding cuts? Do you know much about that, or is that?
Well, with developing all the girls and stuff like that, it's definitely like a really good bridge for if it's in like a university setup. So like with Hartpury and with Loughborough and stuff like the younger girls coming through, it's like amazing setup for them. I can't really speak on behalf of like some of the older girls unless they like live around that area, but it's definitely like developing younger girls going up into playing actual like for women's rugby. The thing with the upcoming season, what I know about it is that they're getting rid of the twos, so they're only having the ones, well, like the first team, which is I don't really know like the full extent of it all, but it's kind of like that. I think that will probably not be great for the women's side, especially because a lot of, I can only speak on behalf of like the girls in the front row. So the girls in the front row, you obviously can't play in the front row until like you're 18 or like you've played as many years in, I don't really know the logistics around it, but like some of the younger girls who want to play in front row, they have to go into like the two sides to practice like being in the front row, and then they can go against like because some of the women still in the Tyrrells, like they're like international front rows against like 18-year-old girls who probably want to play in the front row, but they haven't had that experience yet.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difference, isn't it, going in from playing against the 18-year-old straight to playing someone like Sarah Burton, who is just unbelievable.
The way that the twos helped with stuff like that and like getting younger girls more integrated and stuff like that. I don't know if taking away the twos will be a bit of taking a back step, especially for some of the younger girls who are like fighting to get into first team, but they just haven't had enough game experience yet. But from what I understand, I don't think that before all this Corona stuff happened that there's still funding getting pumped into it. It's still like on the growth. Just depends what it looks like when we come out of all this Corona stuff, with the RFU losing a bit of money. So
it's going to be interesting, isn't it? So you talk about going like the 15s game there, like maybe going back into that in the probably the distant future. But how do you make the decision to actually transition from the 15s game that obviously you're playing the Premiership, you're playing at a good standard in the junior game, the under-20s. How do you make that decision to go to the sevens?
So when I first went across to rugby, and like I kind of said, oh no to athletics, I kind of thought I always had a dream to go to the Olympics, but I never thought that I'd ever be able to do it, just because of I'm not very quick at all, which is I'm really slow. And I thought like sevens would just never be an option because like they're all like pure quick, and I would just never be able to do it. And then when I went into playing at Hartpury, I kind of like shifted my goal to I want to play in a World Cup rather than I want to go to an Olympics. And then when I got injured in my second year, I had my ankle reconstructed, and then during that time while doing my A levels, I kind of like just left rugby alone, left all that alone while I was still injured. And then about June that time of year, I still hadn't played rugby since the since my last Prem 15s game, and I got a phone call like asking me to be involved in like a phone chat about the sevens, and it was all like the current sevens girls, and I just thought that like, oh, maybe they're bringing uni contracts back, maybe like they might bring me into some sort of camps, or maybe they're doing like development sevens again. And then like a few years later, I got a phone that I got offered a sevens contract, and it was kind of like I would have been stupid not to take it. That I was on the phone with Simon and Nikki Ponsford, and they said that when 15s contracts do come around, I would get offered a 15s one as well. But then like I had me and my mum and my dad, like I went home that weekend and we sat down and thought about it, and we were like, this is my only opportunity to go to an Olympics. I will never probably ever get this opportunity again. If I wait like 5 years, I definitely will be slower than what I am now. I'll definitely be more of in a forwards brain of running into people and hitting rucks 24/7. That'll never. That's all we do. That I wouldn't be able to actually like make that transition across. And it was a conversation as well that I had with Simon Middleton at the time, when he said, oh well, you've got to understand that you won't probably be able to go to a World Cup like as soon as what you want to do. And I said to him, I was like, look, I'd be stupid not to take this offer of me trying to go to an Olympics. So yeah, like that transition, it's kind of like there isn't like set guidelines of how you transition across, but it's kind of like as soon as we turned 18, like me, Ellie Kildun, Emma Hardy, we're all from up north in Cass, and we've known each other for years, but we just got up north. We all got picked up straight into the sevens as soon as we turned 18. And yeah, it was just the sole fact of that I wanted to go to an Olympics, and that's what I still want to do. And I know that like I do want to go to a World Cup in the future, but right now, like I'm probably in the best position that I could be to go to an Olympics rather than in five years' time. But there needs to be more structure around what the pathways look like, because I'd played under 18 sevens in one tournament before I'd actually played for England in the women's side, which is mental when you think about it, that like I played no sevens at all. But there isn't really a pathway anymore because of like it is so 15s dominated now.
Just go at that. So I'm on the women's pathway a bit at the minute, and they're starting to bring sevens in a lot more, and X rugby as well. So that's half a pitch. Did you play that in the O2?
Yeah, we played it at the O2.
Do you think that could be quite a positive way into bringing like into the pathway for the women's game?
Yeah, I think it would be. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. We did the trial run for Rugby X, and it was honestly like one of the most horrific experiences I've ever experienced. Like we didn't actually like think through how we were going to do the subs. We kind of just went, you just go until you're dying, and then we'll bring you off for 30 seconds and you'll go on. And honestly, I literally had to sit down for like the next 3 days and just not move. Like all of us were ruined after it. And then it was like,
so you don't mean this? So you don't mean the game itself was horrific? I just mean that you pushed yourself a bit too hard.
I don't even know, but I was like, I never want to do that ever again. And then we got told, right, you're playing it against like USA and Ireland at the O2, and I was like, if we have people not going, I don't want to go. I really don't want to go.
Yeah, I'll sit this one out.
No, we actually like did it a lot differently, like the subs a lot differently. Like we did like 4 people go, 4 people back, and we did it like that instead of like one of us just dying off.
But you must have trained and stuff though, Abby. Like it wasn't just straight into the tournament. Like you must have had a few preparations and stuff for it, or not really.
So we did that the trials, and then that week we went over the rules, and then it was like, off you go. But it was,
sometimes the best way.
Yeah,
Get on with it.
It's kind of like, we saw it as like a big contact drill, because it's literally like no space at all, and like defense should probably win if you think about it, because they're all on the feet, like 3 people in the breakdown. But we went through the rules and we were kind of like, right, okay, let's just take it as it comes. It's a big contract drill. Like we've just got to do what we can with the situation. But it was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had, like doing it at the O2, because I've never actually played in front of like a whole home crowd before. Like you never get crowds like that at like the 15s games and stuff like that, like for the TP stuff.
Definitely not a Harbury.
Yeah, definitely not a Harbury. You can't put people in those stands. But no, it were amazing. Like we like ran out for the final. There was like fire going up. There was like chanting, and then we went to like the one-on-ones. And I don't know if you've seen like the one-on-one bit. But I was right, Abby, you're attacking. And I looked at him and I went, "You don't mean me, do you?" And he was like, "No, definitely not. I mean other Abby." And I was like, "Thank God, I'm not doing it." I was like, "No." And we were trying to figure out how many attempts it took for like, I'm stood there like, am I going to have to do this? Am I going to get embarrassed in front of the whole of like England on national television because I don't want to do this? I was like, I'm the slowest in our team. I cannot, like, I'm not doing it. I'm not defending anybody. I was just like, oh God, what's going on? But yeah, other than that, it was like one of the best experiences ever. But I think definitely like with the pathway and stuff, using that to get like more like girls integrated in it. I don't think it should be played as an international level, just because it doesn't really show like skill set, if you know what I mean. Like because we're literally running into people. Like I literally just ran into people. Like I didn't like, because you're trying to use footwork, but there's 3 of them in front of you because you've got 2 out, and then.
Well, it's really interesting now that the C of E's, so Centre of Excellence, is for all these Tyrrell Premiership teams. They're now starting to use X and 7s over 15s. So when they're talent identification, so they're looking at the so the girls that are quicker, stronger, but also have a lot of good individual skills as well. So that's really where they're looking right now, is to find the best athletes and the best skills, and they're finding that. During these Rugby X and 7s, they're a lot more isolated, so they can see that a lot better. So they're starting to look at that a lot more than what they are the 15s. So that's quite interesting. So, as you say, when you got thrown the 7s after playing one 7s tournament, was that with Yorkshire, or was that with Cass?
So that was with. So we play like under 18s FERA, which is the Europeans. They kind of pick us out of the TDG program. So they pick like however many girls at the TDG program, and then we go away for a week, and we have like a few camps when the TDG camp's going on. I think we had about 3 or 4 camps where they like whittle it down, and then eventually they send a team.
Must be really positive for you to hear that they're actually starting to implement that in the pathway. Then obviously you've gone into the 7s without really experiencing that in the pathway, so that must be pretty.
It's like you saying that, like it's really positive, because it's like the next generation that are coming through. Because, like, even though I'm not old, like I'm really not old at all, but like that, like it's nice to know that like that we've got like more people coming through who want to play 7s rather than or you don't really have a choice because you're a winger, so you may as well go and play sevens. Like, it's good that like girls are now getting that choice. So yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So other than obviously the X that was really good, what's been your favourite experience of this on the Seven Circuit for you? What's been your best experience there?
Probably Cape Town this year, this 2019-2020 season. It was like the first time that I'd like ever felt like so comfortable being on the pitch. It was like the most starts that I'd had in a weekend, which like from going from like the previous season before, not really getting like loads and loads of game time, but trying to take my opportunities when I could. But it was like one of the best experiences I ever had. I was playing more minutes than I'd ever played, and we played our last game to get. We played first time we got to a quarters the whole season, and we were against New Zealand and we drew and we went to overtime, but we just lost against them in overtime. But yeah, I actually made a bit of a mistake when it came to that time. Basically, I thought we'd won and I kicked the ball out, but it went to overtime. So I'm like stood there and I'm like,
forwards brain fart, isn't it?
Literally, I was literally like, she's missed a kick. She's missed the kick in front of the post. Oh my gosh. And I'm there like, right, we just need to retain this kick off and then we kick it out. So I kick it out and then I'm like, and then Meg goes to me, she's like, Bert, we could have played that. And I was like, right. Okay, all right. And then we go to overtime and I'm thinking, right, he's going to take me off. Like, he needs to take me off the pitch. And he goes, right, Bert, you're staying on. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, going to have to swallow this one up. But yeah, like, even though like that was probably like one of the lowest points I've had, because I felt like I lost us that game. I was like, I've lost us that game. Like, it was awful, but it was like that whole experience of Cape Town was probably the most developing for me and like the highs and lows Sevens have, and like it was probably the most that I'd learn on a tournament ever. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And going to like, because on the series, obviously we'd already been to all the countries, but having Cape Town, which was a new one, like the atmosphere was amazing. Like I'd never been.
I was going to ask about the atmosphere. It runs alongside the men's tournament, doesn't it? So I imagine they retain most of their fans.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and like because it's in South Africa as well. Like as we go more towards the east of the world, more of the Fijian fans come out, and it's so cool. Like,
you got that right as well, Abby. You actually got the east right.
But like as we go further across, like when the Fijians come out, it's amazing. Like when we play against like Fiji or when we play against like one of the home nations, like the atmosphere is electric. And like especially in Cape Town as well, we got to watch the men's final with South Africa in it, and it was like mental. It's amazing. Like I think that's like the thing that I look forward to most. Like sometimes we get the option of whether we want to go back to the stadium after we've finished if we haven't made finals or we haven't made quarters. And like I go back every time because like I want to experience that. Like I want to get like the full experience of that weekend. And it's like, yeah, it's absolutely electric. It's amazing.
I suppose when you're picking between the sevens and the 15s, you're never going to get anything close to that one at a 15s game, even international. I suppose that was maybe a huge draw as well for you.
Yeah, it was like that. Just having the opportunity to go to different parts of the world and like having the like support everywhere. Like everyone goes to sevens because they absolutely love sevens. Like they don't go because like, oh, it's a 15s game. I've been dragged along or whatever. Like they go because they like really, really want to go. And like we sometimes like walk around like outside of like where the like all the fans are and stuff like that. And like the amount of people that come up to you and like want to speak to you and just want to know like about sevens. Like then like fair enough, they're probably drunk at the time. So it's actually but like just the amount of people that come up to you and just like love the game and just want to talk to you about it, it's like it's amazing. Like, and you never think that like I never thought growing up that I'd ever have this opportunity to be able to do this, and it's like it's honestly amazing. I love it. I wouldn't change it at all. Like it's mental.
So Olympics, obviously, that is a dream of yours, and I think that was a dream before rugby, wasn't it? Really, with the athletics that you're doing. Obviously, it's been postponed for the year. How's that affected you? Is that has that been maybe giving you another year to prepare, or have you thought, oh, I was really geared up for it this year? Or what are your thoughts around it?
So at first I was like devastated. I was really upset because it was like I'd geared everything towards this year. When I came into the sevens, it was never I'm looking to get recontracted. It's I'm looking to go to an Olympics. And then last season when we were qualifying, I didn't get selected to go to the qualifiers. So the qualifiers in Russia, and I got selected to go as 13th man. And that was probably one of like the hardest things I've ever had to do. Like be there, try and support the team, but like not being able to help, not being able to do anything. But then like that also like ignited the fact of I never want to feel like how I felt on that weekend. Like we qualified for the Olympics and it was one of the best like moments that we've ever had. Like me sat on the sideline like with our coach, and when we qualified, like it was like we were all hysterical. But it was like I want to never be in that. I don't want to feel like that when I come to the Olympics. And like and that drove a lot of this year, that I don't want to feel like how I felt not being selected to go to one of my dreams. So yeah, like I was initially gutted because I was like I'd geared everything towards it, but then like sitting down thinking about it, I thought that like next year I'll have an opportunity to get so many more caps under my belt, and that I think I've got 9 caps at the moment. So like hopefully by next year I'll be able to add on to that. But then it will take the experience aspect out of it, because that was a big thing about last year, was that I wasn't experienced enough, and we needed our most experienced team on the pitch. And that did come into some of the factors of a lot of what happened in the sevens last year. Like with some selection processes and stuff like that, but which is completely fair, because if you're not experienced enough, you're not experiencing those situations. But yeah, so it kind of then gave me a different light of thinking, right, I've got another year to just make myself better and not give anyone the opportunity to go, she's not experienced enough, or she hasn't developed this skill because she's new to the program, or like this or this. And that like I'll be another year older as well, which just makes everything better in itself. Like I'll have another year of being in a centralised program. It just, like, when I think about it, the positives outweigh the negatives so much more for me. Maybe for not some of our players who are coming to the end of their careers. But then it's like that I've also got to think of the positives that it will do for us as a team as well. Like we need like a lot more, like we're still trying to develop like rugby skills, like different scenarios, stuff like that. Like so much more like us playing as a team, like in those high pressure situations. Like we need more of that, because like we only came together as a team at the start of last season, and they brought in 7 new players. So like we just need more game experience together as a team, because when we're on fire, we're absolutely on fire and no one can stop us. But then it's like getting that consistency, and I think another year would do us a massive world of good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's been the biggest difference being in the GB setup than the England setup?
Just the new girls. Like it was funny actually, because when we went to our first GB camp, it was kind of us playing without like anyone telling us how to play, which is kind of like what you play like when you're younger. Is like you're just loose, and like people just say go play and go show your skill set. And like it was so promising from that first camp that everyone was showing their skill set, and we were still playing really, really good rugby. And we had like no structure behind us at all. Like no structure on defence, no structure on attack, no structure on set piece. Like we were literally just playing what we were seeing. And that's the most like exciting thing, and the difference from us playing as an England team, because we've got all of our systems and we play a certain way. Whereas like with the GB stuff, it's like exciting that we're like trying to find our own playing style and like our own culture, because we can't just go into a GB setup and we go, right, you've got to play like England, or you've got to play like Wales, or you've got to play like Scotland. Like it was really exciting that it was like we're now finding our own identity, and like that was like the most exciting part of it all, that it was like we weren't getting told like you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like it was like so much free reign to play, and that was like amazing. Like it was like I was playing like I was younger again. It was so cool.
Who was your coach when you went to GB? I think, is it Charlie Hayter who's taken over with the women's stuff at England?
So, Hates is our assistant coach, and Scott Forrest is our head coach, and he's the Scottish head coach.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that must have been so cool. Just letting you go out and play and find your own. Compared to, I suppose, every nation and program's going to have their own way of doing things. I suppose within that, it's just sort of facilitating the way they want to play that is already ingrained. But when you go to GB, it's sort of a bit more free for all. I imagine that's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it is really enjoyable. Like, some of our calls were like conflicting with each other. So I think we had like, I can't remember what it was, but one of our calls meant the opposite for them. So like, we're saying it, and they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And it's like completely the opposite. And it's like, it was so cool for us just to play, just like without anybody. Like, we're still like speaking to each other and stuff like that, but without us saying like, "Oh, gas out," or like using like our terms. And it was cool for like, and it helped us understand each other a lot more of what each other wanted to do, because we had to communicate so much more. And yeah, it were pretty cool. But yeah, it's gutting that we didn't have the other camps this year, but we ended up doing a quiz when we were meant to all be in Wales. So
a quiz really does replace training brilliantly.
Yeah.
So looking forward to the Commonwealth Games in 2022, you were awarded the Sir John Hanson grant. Tell us a little bit about that and how it's affected you.
Yeah, so at the end of last season, we got like an email from our manager that said that, "Oh, this is being put forward. If you were under the age of like if you're the age of 19 by like June 2019 or something like that, then you could apply for it." And it was basically across every single sport in the country, and there was only 5 athletes. And then I didn't think there was a chance that I was going to get it, because we're obviously like a fully contracted program, like we get paid. Like, I didn't think that it would be like a thing that was going to happen. But then I got it, and it was like mental. Like, it was amazing. That I think from like with everything that they're doing, that with like with all of the, let me think of with all like the support that they give us, so that they check in on us like every 3 months and stuff like that. Like, they give us so many opportunities to get involved in like the social medias type of stuff, like the help just like developing the games. Like, there's me and Kelly, who is one of the judo girls. We're on the kit panel for the 2022 Commonwealths, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like, just being able to, like, because I'm not like one of the most like, seven, stuff like that, and like your Portia Woodmans, like your Abby Browns, your Al Matthews, like, like all the like the top players. So it's like, it's kind of nice to like be able to like get into something and like get myself out there and like get my rugby out there and get like everything out there. So yeah, like, and especially like with like the grant and stuff like that, being given the money for like all like my nutrition stuff, because I live away from home, so I live down in London. So like with all my nutrition stuff, yeah, it's not cheap at all. Like, it's so expensive. But like being able to like help pay for like my food, all my like accommodation, like just even like, it's expensive just to get up and down the country to go up north. So it's like me having that opportunity for like a couple of times a month to be able to go home, because like before, like I couldn't necessarily like have that opportunity without like my mum and dad paying for it. Whereas like now I can do that myself, like take more ownership of like my life and being able to like go and see them. And it's great just like for like mental health, just being able to go and see my family and stuff like that. So like everything that the grant's been doing has been just helping me massively develop. And like, it's given me so much more confidence as well, like being a younger player in like a setup with like my idols, basically. Like, I've watched these girls growing up, like that I've watched them at World Cups, I've done that, and like to be able to be awarded this and like them have the confidence in me, because like you got to send across like highlights and got to send across like what you've been doing and how you plan to develop, like them having the confidence in me that I'm going to set out the goals I set out to do, that I will do it. And like the confidence that that's given me is massive. And it's like, it's even just helped like in my playing, just being able to have so much more confidence in myself that like I know that like the whole of like the team England's like backing me to be able to go to the Commonwealths, and like that's pretty cool in itself, to be fair. So yeah.
So was that like that criteria? I suppose there's a lot of things that they can consider, but was it almost just as much as your rugby ability and what you're doing off the field that sort of attracted you to them, sort of thing?
Yeah, well, so there was 3 girls in our squad who applied for it, and we're all like on similar like levels of like rugby ability. So like, I don't know whether like it might have been the stuff that I wrote like about me off the field, like me like all the stuff to do with my page, and then all the stuff to do with like what I want to do outside of rugby, like my uni stuff that I'm trying to do, and then like I don't know, like the criteria of it is more just like they set out the criteria of like you have to be a certain age, you have to be like in an international setup, like all that type of stuff. So like I don't really know like what differentiated us, because it was me, Ellie and Helena who were young enough at the time, so I don't really know actually what differentiated us, but whatever I wrote, they must have liked it.
I'm not going to complain, are we?
Not going to complain, are you? Not going to say, oh, maybe she should have got it. No, I'll, yeah, can't turn that down. That's great. So you've mentioned your page there, so your body positive page. I'm just going to get it up on the screen now for people at home to see it. So yeah, you mentioned your body positive page here. We've just got it on the screen now. Yeah, so we've got a few questions about. So what made you feel the urge to actually make this page, and what's the purpose of it?
Yeah, so at the end of last season, it's always something that I've wanted to do, and like going through high school, I struggled a lot with the way that I looked and like the way that people perceived me. Like I was bigger than the majority of boys in high school. Like I was muscular, like I was stronger than the majority of them, and like I got picked on for it, and like the classics are she looks like a man, like she's not feminine, like no one will ever want to, like no boys want to get with her because she's stronger than them, like all of that. And I was in my friend group, like the girls are absolutely stunning, they're like, but they're tiny, and I like stuck out like a sore thumb really. And it's something that I've always wanted to like share and be able to share my story about it, but I didn't think that I had a good enough platform to do it off of until I got into the England setup. And I didn't want it to be one of these things that like I put a page out there and I didn't have the ability to get it out there. And I was thinking a lot about it, to wait to do it to see if I got into the Olympics, to then do it after that, to see if I had a bigger platform then. But it was something that I was really, really passionate about. And I thought to myself, like, I don't even care if it only changes like it helps one person. Like I want to do it now. And yeah, like the purpose behind it is trying to, like, my dream is to be able to go into schools and to be able to speak to young women about this type of stuff. I think it's one of those times where like young women are they're so self-conscious about the way that they look. They're perceived a lot about what they see on social media. Like they want to look a certain way because people and society says that they should look a certain way. And it stops a lot of girls from playing sport, if I'm being honest with you. Like the whole of my friend group, I think we had a friend group of 10 of us, and only 2 of us played sport. And I didn't know whether they wanted to or whether they didn't want to, but like it was always one of those things that like people didn't necessarily want to do. Like girls would try and get out of PE because they didn't want to do it, like all that type of thing, because they don't want to be in a position where they have to put shorts on and put a vest on and do stuff like that. Because like, if I'm being honest with you, like people are scared for other people to see. And like, I used to be exactly the same. I went through Hartpury I used to only wear like long sleeves to go, like when I turned 18, when we used to go out clubbing, I would only wear long sleeve tops, long sleeve dresses, because I didn't want anyone to see my arms and make a comment about my arms. It was something that happened so often. Even when I was in the supermarket, if I was wearing a vest, someone would make a comment about how big my arms were and how like muscly my arms were. And like for a young girl, like trying to be feminine, like that's not really what you want to hear. But yeah, so like my page is really just trying to get across that like that you don't need to look a certain way because society says you need to look a certain way. You look a certain way because you're made for a purpose, and like I could not play rugby if I was 60 kilos and like tiny. I would not be able to do my job at all. Like, I like my body's the way that it is because I'm an international rugby player. It's not the way that it is because I want to make society look at my body and think, oh yeah, that's how she wants to look. Like, and it's like trying to promote people to try and find a purpose in their body. Like, their purpose might be walking the dog every day. Like, my body can do this because like my body can sustain that. My body can do this. My body's made for me to be a doctor. Like, my body's made for me to be like a police officer. Like, my body's made for me to play certain type of sports. It's not made for me to play other type of sports. But it's like trying to find that, like, your body is made for something. It's not made for like you to look a certain way because society says so. It should be made for what you perceive to make you feel happy. So yeah, that's kind of like what it's mainly about.
That's awesome. I think, like you said, I think it's good that you sort of just got it off the ground and not wait till your Olympic. I know it's been postponed now, but you've got a real powerful platform there to influence a lot of people, especially when, especially in this lockdown, when so many people are looking for things online to look at. And I suppose you covered it there. You go for it. You want to go and speak into schools. Have you managed to get into any schools and speak to a few people with England or?
So not yet. I've been able to, I'm trying to get that sorted at the moment for me to go into my old school where I used to go to school. But then like still, but even with like all the Commonwealth stuff, when I go to, so we go to like talks and stuff like that, and we like sit on a panel and like, that's the question that I get asked about. And like the type of engagement that I have with people like looking and actually listening to me when I'm talking about it, it makes me want to just speak about it more. And like, I can see that it's getting somewhere, and I can see that like people like want to listen, want to learn about it. The only issue is with like my Instagram page is that like I might not necessarily be hitting the target audience that I want to be hitting. So like younger girls who like don't even know about rugby, don't know who I am, like unless someone's told them about how would they ever find it. And that's one of the main reasons why I want to go into schools, is because like it is a topic that needs to be spoken about. Like, I think that it's shied away from in a lot of high schools, and some of them don't really, like, no one would have known I was struggling unless I told someone. Like, my mum knew, like, one of my friends, and that was it. And it, like, if no one knows, then how is it ever going to change? But like, I know that it's a very difficult topic for young girls to talk about.
Yeah, well, I think it's that important that it's coming from somebody that's in the real world with them, that's gone through their problems, but still has fought through them and hit their aspirations, or is hitting their aspirations. That somebody who's playing sevens that's ridiculously athletic, quick, fit, and still had the issues that you faced. And I think it's amazing that you've come through it and really publicly talked about it and want to go even further with that and really help the lives of these young people that actually are still struggling. So I do think that's really important. So yeah, it's just class. Where do you want to take? So obviously you want to go into schools, and how big do you see this page getting, and is that necessarily a goal for you, or is it just to help out as many people as you can?
But like when I first like started up and running it, we thought about like this could actually be like, I could make this into a business, like, well, into like me going to speak to people about it. Like I could make it into like a brand. But then like I thought about it, and I don't really care about that. Like I don't care about like how successful it gets or how not successful it gets. Like as long as I help one person, like then I've done that. Then that page has done what it set out to do. Like without, if I didn't speak about it, then I wouldn't help anybody. But like me speaking about it, at least I'm helping one or two people. And like with me going into schools, like the thing is, like rugby's given me an amazing platform to be able to do that. That like for example, people don't really, if they don't know, like if you've got no sort of credibility, then they don't really, why would they want you in a school? But like this platform that like hopefully I'm trying to get, as well as playing rugby, it can only help me, and it can only help me help other people, because like I'm still on my own journey, like with body positivity and self-love, and like I want people to know that like I'm still on my own journey, and it's not just a quick fix that happened overnight. It took me years and years for me to get to this point. But yeah, like to be honest with you, I don't really care how big it gets. I just want to be able to help someone.
I think that's massively important, that you're there and you're trying to be as happy as possible with your own body, and you just try to be happy. That's the main thing. You're not trying for anything else. You try to be happy. You're trying to make other people happy. And in today's society, where it is so judgmental across a load of things, especially for young girls, I think it's a massively positive message that you want to send out.
Yeah, and hopefully, like with all of this, that at some point I'll be able to get men on there as well. Because I know that like there's a massive thing about like getting men to speak out at the moment, with like mental health and stuff like that. But it hasn't, like with body positivity and stuff like that. Like it hasn't really. I haven't really seen much of it being dipped in with men.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. It's obviously Sam went through the academy stuff, and there's so many boys that aren't picked up because either they're not big enough, or they're not strong enough, or they don't weigh enough. So yeah, it is that, isn't it, Sam, as well? There is some definite stuff there with the men, but I think what you do work with the women's, as soon as you can push that over, I just think that's great. And obviously what you want to do is inspire the next generation. And so I've gone out to a few of the girls in the pathway at the minute and got some questions if you'd like to answer them, if that's okay.
Yeah, cool.
So first question comes from Charlotte P. What training are you doing during lockdown? How are you staying motivated?
So I'll answer the motivated one first. So at the moment, motivation solely comes from Olympics. I know that if I don't train now, I won't make it to the Olympics. I won't put myself in the best possible position for me to get to an Olympics. But also as well, like change that motivation to like me just trying to stay healthy, because like I know that if I sit and don't do anything, it's not just taking my rugby dream away, but like I won't be as healthy as I possibly can, which means that like I won't be the best version of me. So yeah, and then with training, we've been given training from our S&C and from our coaches, but they've kind of just left us to it at the moment because we're all furloughed. So yeah, they've sent it out. It's our choice whether we do it or not. But currently doing like 4 or 5 runs a week, 4 gym sessions a week, and then like some trunk and plyometrics and stuff like that. But it's just getting it done, really. Like you've just got to find your motivation from somewhere. And I find like planning out your days, like I plan out what sessions I'm going to do. Like I don't put a time restriction of I need to do it then or I need to do it then, but I just try and plan out my days as much as possible, just to try and keep myself busy. So yeah.
Great. Second question comes from Holly. What age did you start playing rugby and how did you get into it?
So I started playing when I was 13. I just finished swimming at quite a high level. So I swam from like the age of like 6 to the age of 13, and I was in it quite competitively. But I kind of come to the conclusion that I didn't like me swimming up and down a pool, not talking to anyone for 2 hours every single day. Because I'm
fair comment.
But yeah, and my dad was a professional rugby league player, and my 2 brothers both play rugby professionally as well. So like it was kind of like in my blood. So like when I first said like, actually I want to try rugby, and like my dad was like ecstatic. My mum was a bit like, oh, what's going on? I'm losing her to it as well. But yeah, like I just went down to my local rugby club. Like I went down to Castleford. I played my first game at hooker, which was one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had. But yeah, and then from then, just went down to Cass every week, then started playing for Yorkshire, started playing for North of England, and then, yeah, kind of all went from there, really.
Cool. Final fan question is, how did you find the pathway to professional rugby? Obviously, we talked about that a little bit, but what was your overall view, really, of the pathway?
I think that it's like so pathway's a bit different from when I was in it now. So like when I was in it, we had club level, county, divisional, TDG, and then 20s, and then England. I do think there needs to be a bridge between the 20s and going into England. potentially another pathway set up. I know that we do have England Academy, but I don't know if that goes on very often or it's like an actual training group. But yeah, it was pretty straightforward for me until it got to the under 20s and into the England setup type of stuff. But it's kind of like finding, I think it's then taking it into your own hands a little bit, like me going to Hartpury, kind of like that's an extra step in the pathway that you can go to. And I think the way that the pathway is, it depends a lot of when you get to that age about like motivation, about like how much do you want it, because it's not going to be like, it's not very straightforward into getting into a professional environment. Like unless you get picked up, like you have to like go into the TP15s now, fight your way through that. Like it's about being very motivated, about being very proactive, and just fighting for everything you can. So yeah, it's definitely changed a bit now, but the way that I got into it was pretty decent. But I just think there's another bit that they can put in.
Cool. So finally, we have 3 questions that we're going to ask all our guests on the podcast. So Sam, if you want to take the first one.
Yes, the first one is, what's the best piece of advice you have received during your whole rugby career? Can be from anybody.
There is there's something that like I believe a lot by now, which like I've grown up. Well, there's 2 things actually. Grown up from like my dad and my family, and that's probably the best thing I take into rugby is be the best version of yourself. Because if you're the best version of yourself, no one can ever say she's not trying or she's not doing this or she's not doing that. But like being you and being true to you, and like I've always said to myself, if I never make it to my dreams, but I'm the best version of me, then I can't do anything more than that. And like I strongly believe in that. And then another one is Burton's never give in. So that's what I got tattooed on my foot. Like it's mental. Got it done when I was 16. We were like, right, let's go get a tattoo. But yeah, like that, I look at that every time I put on my socks before I play. And it helps me throughout rugby, and it helps throughout life really. Like as a Burton, like we don't give in, like ever. And it's kind of like that grit and determination that was put in from me, like that my family gave me from when I was younger, that helps me in rugby.
Awesome. Second question, what are you reading or watching that people should check out at home right now? It can be to do with sports, or it can be to do with anything else.
So I'm currently watching The Last Dance on Netflix.
How good is that?
It's so good. Like it's honestly one of the best things I've ever watched. Like it was so good. And then because I love watching anything about professional sport or like that type of environment. I'm trying to stay away from rugby as much as possible during this time, trying to give myself a bit of a reset.
I suppose talk about Last Dance and body positivity and Dennis Rodman. Like I feel like he's like literally one of the first people to start just doing what he wanted and not be determined by the media, and that's actually pretty cool to see. I think he's one of the first ones to just do what he wanted to do.
Like, because I've never really followed like basketball before. Like, obviously you know who people are, but like I never knew anything like behind the scenes of like Michael Jordan stuff and like the people around him. And Dennis Rodman, like literally he did not care. Like, and even now, like watching the videos of him like with all these big piercings and his sunglasses on, and he's just like sat like
and the fact that he's friends with Kim Jong-un as well.
He was with Madonna. Like he's genuinely like he literally just broke the barriers of like male sport. Like literally like
100%.
That was so cool to see as well. And then I'm also currently reading a book called XOX, which is about you two might not really want to read anything about this, but it's about women who have like a power awakening inside of them, and they basically can electrocute men, and men don't have that power, and like they're basically like taking over the world. It's crazy because like it's honestly mental. Like I got recommended it. It's like one of those like, I don't know if any of you have ever read like The Handmaid's Tale or stuff like that, but I'm quite into like literature and books and stuff like that because I did it at A level, and it's like weird sci-fi like stuff like that. And it's pretty cool, to be fair, that like, I don't know, it's probably not your cup of tea, but it's
That's
pretty
all right.
cool.
There might be a few listeners that might be might be interested.
Yeah, and then last question, Sam, shoot.
So last one is what's next, Abby? Obviously got the Olympics dream to still fulfill, but yeah, what's next for you on and off the field?
So off the field, I'm currently trying to get my degree done. Doing it part-time is a bit draining because it will take me 6 years to complete uni. But yeah, trying to get that done, trying to make sure I have that done, trying to get coaching qualifications at the same time as well. Just so I've got something else outside of rugby. Rugby isn't there forever. And then trying to get my page up and running, so try and get to schools and stuff like that. And then on field, Olympics coming up, hopefully being able to go to that. And then the Commonwealths as well. One thing we've been given this grant, it's kind of like you're expected to go to the Commonwealths, and that's quite a big pressure as well. But yeah, like that would be absolutely amazing. Like being able to play in front of my family, especially my grandparents who like are at the age where they can't really fly anymore, like, or they don't want to fly. Being able to play in Birmingham in front of them, like, would be sensational. Like it would literally be like a dream come true. And yeah, hopefully in the future a World Cup as well, but we've got to focus on the next couple of years for now.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast, Abby. Me and Sam, well, I've really enjoyed it from watching Sam. I think he's really enjoyed it as well. Just want to plug a little bit Sam's NHS Crossbar Challenge as well. Obviously, we're in unprecedented times right now, and it's really important. Sam, you've raised over £700, haven't you, so far, the NHS Crossbar Challenge?
Yeah, nearly 800 with Abby's contribution.
Yeah, so we'll get that on the screen now.
No,
how many attempts was it, Abby?
Abby's had a go.
It took me 19 attempts, and I was literally. I looked back at it and I thought, I was only 25 minutes out. I think I was about 20 or maybe 15. And it
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And I was kicking it, and I was like, I'm so rubbish. I was like, I'm so rubbish. I was like, this is the reason why I don't kick, because I'm so rubbish.
So yeah, that's the NHS Crossbar Challenge. Every time you miss, basically you're giving £1 to the NHS for the great work they're doing during the current pandemic. Link will be in the bio of this. And just give it a go. Send your videos in. We'll obviously put the best ones up on screen. Find me on Instagram or Twitter. It's MarkMoss1996. Mine's
Sam Leeming 10.
Mine is Abi_Burton.
Or Absolutely Positive as well, isn't it?
Yeah, abs.lutely.positive.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Cheers, Abby.